My channel. Hi. My name is Gemma. I am a criminologist and I am an advanced cultist and all that stuff. Mummy of two, right? So I'm going to talk about healing in this one, like the basic concept of it. Like, how do we manage an aspect of healing? How does it take place, right? So you can have experiences in your life where you're traumatized, right? Everyone's got it in them or something, some form of something, right? So everyone can have a form of trauma within them, yeah? Okay. So what can happen is that if you've been traumatized in your life, you hold it. You hold it, right? And it is stored in the body, and they say your body keeps score. There's a book about it. It's called that. And really, what it is it's almost like that trauma is always inside you, but not necessarily. But it can come back to you as an aspect of a memory, right? Of aggression, right? Regression. And, this can take place, right? So it can either happen if it's a trigger or if you're vulnerable. Or there's another way. And this is also an aspect of healing, right? So what happens is when you're in a safe environment, and it can be when you're alone, and this is usually when a healing aspect takes place. So you have to always remember that you might never feel like you're healing, and it's because you need to feel safe in that process in order to heal, okay? So 9 times out of 10, it's when you're on your own, or if you're isolating yourself because you're healing, right? Or if you are, feel like you're in a safe place, if you feel like, you're not going to be hurt, okay, in your surroundings, you can then start to heal, okay? And this is what I did, right? I started to heal. I started to heal myself, and I really did, right? And I know what it's like to be a healed woman, right? I know. And I know what it takes to get there, and it takes a lot of time, can do, but it can all it you can what can happen is that people can help you as well if you feel safe with them, right? And it's not something that's forced, it's something that's just naturally there. It's a natural occurrence to take place. So this can happen usually if you find someone and they might bring a healing to you, like a friend, okay? And this is normal stuff, okay? It's not forced. It doesn't work like that, okay? If you're forcing, for example, if you've had a child in care and they've been in there all their lives, they're 18, come out, and they've had a significant amount of trauma, you can't push that child into, do that adult now because they stay with the children till they're 25. The social workers do. And then that's when they try and put them through like therapy and things like that. So they don't really offer therapy before that age. Interesting, isn't it? They tend to leave the child, which I think is absolutely vile. I think there should be aspects of, counselling that should happen for them children, right? Because it's an aspect of protection as well. And if you've got good psychologists out there, good ones, right? Don't get paid off for doing whatever, ticking boxes. If you've got real good ones that protect the children, there's a gauge there between, where there's an independent accredited source that stops child abuse from taking place within institutions as well. Okay, that's the solution. So what they do is, at the end of their 18 and they get out of care and they get a house or whatever, what they'll do is a social worker keep coming around, asking them if they need to go mental health, push it onto them. And sometimes them children aren't ready because you've left it so long. Those children won't be ready at 18 to start talking about it. They want to live their life. They need to break out. They're in that breakout phase. Okay? So they're not quite ready yet because you've left it so long for them. So you have to let them do it naturally. And unfortunately, this is how you breed crime, essentially. Because what you've done is you left the child emotionally. They're likely to break out, be sad, be mad, be bad, or whatever. But they're just trying to express their emotions, but they've never been told they're allowed to. Like, sit down, shut up, unseen, unheard. So what can happen is, which they all know, it breeds crime. Or they're a target. You're a target. And, the social workers might stay with them and say, oh, do you need any counselling? Push it onto them. And then, 9 times out of 10, them kids are going to say no because they're not ready yet. Okay? So my advice to those kids is wait till you have kids yourself. Wait till you're about 30, 40, I would. Wait till you're about 35. You'll have loads of time, women. Don't worry about it. When you're at 35, 40, I'd have a kid then. Because then you've passed your trauma stages and then you go into that later phase of maturity, right? So then you would have already funneled out a lot of stuff ready to engage in having your own children. And it's like 35, 40. That's naturally anyway. But, I would suggest doing that because then you're more likely to be settled in yourself. Because you're more likely to have been able to funnel out all that trauma. Okay? But I've noticed that healing usually takes place when you feel safe. Okay? When you feel safe. When your body starts to understand that it feels safe and it can open up. Okay? And that's natural. Not by triggers or feeling vulnerable. It's just because you feel safe. Okay? So it can come out in other ways like triggers and vulnerability. But it can also be a feeling of feeling safe in order to heal. Okay? So this is the only way that people are going to heal. So if you've got children coming out of care, they've never had any counselling because they've never been allowed because of certain things, so they're trying to hide it, and then they want them to do it afterwards. It's bullying, right? You shouldn't force people to do stuff. This is like mental health services and stuff. You shouldn't really force people to do stuff. I'm not against this. I'm not against, mental health services. I'm not against social service. I'm not against this stuff. I'm just going to realise I'm not against this stuff. Just things need tweaking. Because if we force people to go into to speak about stuff, you force people to do that, they're not ready yet, then it doesn't make any sense. Okay? You don't sit there and try and dig somebody, okay, when you're not going to get anywhere with that. That person's got to do it naturally by themselves, right? And it's a process. And that's what they deserve at that stage. Not being pushed into these mental health services just for more money on their heads. Just treating people like they're you're treating people like they're so what this does is it just makes people look like feel like they're just being pushed into these spaces. I mean, forcing them. It's just money on their heads again. Put them in through this service. And it's just kind of sad, really, because they should have had that sort of gauge already taking place for them. And it shouldn't be used against people either, and it should be outside sources. And it shouldn't be like ones where they're selected to do da-da-da-da, because then that's just collusion and corruption again. So there's an aspect of protection there for the child, but there's also an aspect where it can be concluded against the child, which I think is really, really sad. Because it's kind of like not really solving a problem. Solving a problem would be having an outside source that's trustworthy. It's not just going to compile lies. Anyway, I'm done healing. How to heal and when it usually takes place. It's because you're on your own or you feel safe. Okay, that's when healing takes place. When you feel safe. Okay, my name is Gemma. I'm a criminologist, mummy of 2.